Okay, let's take a look at this technique that is fretting the fifth string with your thumb in order to build different chord voicings. So this is a really handy, clever technique that Earl Scruggs came up with. And what it does is just allow you to add some color notes into your major chord by using your thumb or the fifth string, and it works really well with roll patterns. So let's take a look at this. Example number 1 is going to be a G6 chord, and that is where the ring and pinky finger are all the way up at the 17th fret, first and fourth string, and middle finger is third string, 16th fret, index is second string, 15th fret, and then our our thumb is going to be over fifth string, 14th fret. And that's going to be a G6 chord. It's very handy and it's a really good voicing. We're going to be using the In the Mood roll. Now let's just talk a bit about the theory of why it's called a G6 chord, just in case anybody doesn't know how this is working or why I'm calling it a G6 chord. So you hear these different numbers along with a chord, like a G7 or a G6 or a G major 7. All those numbers are the scale degrees of the key you're in or that chord. So, for instance, we're in the key of G, and that's a G6 chord. So I just want to show you how you would find something like that. So what we're going to do is just look at a very basic major scale, first position, and I'm going to count through the scale. And I want to find the sixth scale degree. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, so I've just at least identified the note, the sixth scale degree, which is an E note. So basically, I could also find it up the neck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now that's it on the first string. I just used a higher version of a G scale to find it. But we're taking that note, the sixth note, and I'm placing it on the fifth string instead of the first string, and my thumb ends up being on the fifth string, 14th fret. Now we're going to use the In the Mood roll with this. It's going to sound like this. Also, when you're up the neck playing this backup, it sounds really good to have your hand near the neck just because of the tone. It sounds just easier on the ears and kind of soft or bell-like, they say. You just don't want to be way over here by the bridge because it's pretty harsh. So that's what it sounds like. And I'm going to go through the roll. Definitely look at the tablature. But this is going to start with a quarter note on the fourth string with thumb. And then we're going to start the rest of the roll, the forward part of the roll, on the first string with the middle finger, thumb on the fifth, index second, middle first, thumb fifth, index second, middle first. This is the second measure. Thumb on the fifth, index second, middle first, thumb fifth. And then we're basically doing a square roll now to complete the roll. We have an index on the second, thumb on the third, and middle on the first, which is just the In the Mood roll. I just wanted to at least go through it and show you the exact picking pattern, but it's on the tablature. And let's just talk a little bit about where to use this now. So it's a G6 chord, but still just think of it as a G major chord, and you could use it on the 1 chord of a progression in the key of G. And it's just a nice color. It just adds a really nice color to your chord. And then you could use that, say, on the first chord if you wanted of the progression leading anywhere else it's going, to the 4 chord, the C chord, or it could go to a D chord. It could just be a way you could start a backup. You could also end up the neck as well. So also, just know that this is movable. I didn't write it out in every position because there's no real need to do that. Just know that you could move this shape around. It's completely movable because you're fretting every note. There are no open notes. So I could take it and move it a whole step down, and then I could have an F6 chord. And you might as well just practice the In the Mood roll because it sounds really good. Now I could take it, I could move it down to where an F-shaped C chord is. Thumb is over the 7th fret, and then I have a C6 chord. So basically practice moving that shape around to where you can just, get your hands used to fretting that 5th string. That part is a little challenging at first, I think. So now we're going to take a look at a G7 chord. All right, now the G7 chord. So everything is the same, exactly where our left hand was, except we're taking our thumb and we're moving it up a half step to play a flatted 7th note. We're just including an F note into our G chord, and now we have this sound. Very nice bluesy sounding chord, and also that's a very handy thing to do, especially if you're about to move to a C chord. So you could play a whole progression going from G7 to C7 to D7 back to G, and that would be a really great exercise. Here'd be one example. You could add a G lick at the end and that would sound nice. But that would be a great way to practice it. One thing that I'll just point out as a tip is it's really good to end when you're done with the progression. It's better to not end with the G7 because that's usually passing, it's leading somewhere else. It's a sound that's leading you to basically the C chord. It's just the ear wants it to go somewhere. I would end, a good way to end is with the G6 chord. That's a little bit more of a stable sound like this. You could start your progression like what I just did, and then maybe you could practice ending with the G6. It just sounds like it's kind of more at a home base place now. So I could go. So I'm also mixing up the 6th and the 7th, but I just find that it sounds a little more complete when you end with the 6 versus ending with the 7, because the 7 is moving. It feels like it wants to move around. So we're going to see more of these in more complete versions of the backup, but at least start here. Start with getting your thumb over the 5th string and try both of those different shapes. Even if you just stayed right here for a while in the F shape up the neck with the thumb on the 14th or the 15th fret, just kind of sit and practice. It's also good to just practice each roll and change. Move your thumb from 14 to 15, from the G6 to the G7. This could be an exercise. Okay, so that's just more repetition. And if your thumb starts to hurt from practicing this, just take a break and come back to it. And basically, you're going to use this sparingly anyway. Just know that you're not going to be using it the whole time in a whole song. So you won't have to worry about your thumb like being, in pain while you're playing a tune or anything, because you're just kind of sprinkling these ideas. Plus, you're building some strength and coordination in your thumb to use it like this. So anyway, have fun with this, and we'll see you at the next lesson.